Hey guys, Sanan Rider here. This is going to be my chapter review to One Piece 896, The Last Request. Now, it was a good chapter, straight away, I'm just going to let you know. It was a good chapter for Oda to come back on, but there were people who were disappointed, and to be fair, they had a valid reason to be disappointed, and spoiler alert, I'm warning you now, Katakuri falls this chapter, okay? But I'll speak more about that as we go through the chapter and as we get to that part. So first, what we have, let's go chronologically. The Charlotte family still wait for Luffy to appear through the mirror, and the time now is 12:28. So 32 minutes left till Luffy should supposedly jump out the mirror and be ready to meet his crew. Now, they discuss whether Katakuri could actually lose, and with other family members saying that it's an impossibility, raising Katakuri on that pedestal that he kind of dislikes again. Meanwhile, Sanji waits within an alley with Pudding, trying to analyze the situation for Luffy's return. And we have a moment between Sanji and Pudding, with Sanji showing her the kindness he's had for her all along once again, and she tears up and all that. And as she's moved to tears, she makes one last request of Sanji, removing the cigarette from his mouth, and then it kind of just changes the scene once again. Now, everyone and their mothers, literally everyone, seems to have had the same thought here. And when I first read it, I was like, ooh, what's going on here? And then once reading people's opinions on this, I was like, this has got to be right. This is what is going to happen. Definitely. I don't see anything else really happening. This seems like a very viable thing. So the thought here is that Pudding kisses Sanji, and while she does it, she wipes his memories of herself, allowing her to sacrifice herself for his and Luffy's coming escape, their impending escape. And that would be a devastating turn of events, and all the more saddening as Sanji would be unaware and none the wiser if Pudding goes and sacrifices herself, and he's just there like, who the hell was that? So that would be amazingly saddening, and that would be a really good turn of events. 12:37 comes, so it's been like 9 minutes, and Luffy and Katakuri have essentially knocked each other out. They've both fought each other toe to toe, and they've knocked each other out. It's a draw. That's what the fight ended as. The fight ended as a draw. You can say what you want. The fight ended as a draw. Both fighters were knocked out. It was a draw. But this was also the controversial part. A lot of people didn't like that Katakuri was put down, considering out of the two of them, he took far less damage. And this is true. He did take far less damage than what we saw Luffy take. But there are a few things to consider here. We've seen time and time again that Luffy can sustain an insane amount of damage and will continue to fight and will himself on. We've not seen this from Katakuri before, because we haven't really seen Katakuri fight before, but it's assumed he can also do this, because whatever Luffy can do, he can do better. So he can also sustain a shit ton of damage and continue. So why did he fall? I assume he took way more hits than we actually saw, seeing as a lot of the fight actually occurred off screen, and every time Luffy hit him we saw it. But then I assume they had scuffles off screen as well, and with it, that weren't shown, that where Luffy actually hit him with some dirty shots, especially probably in Snake Man. Still, we assume that Luffy took more damage. He took more damage easily, to be fair. But I think the both of them were pretty much fighting on empty anyway, and after they both received the identical wounds to the midriff after Katakuri stabbed himself, it was just a matter of time before the both of them were going to collapse anyway. The amount of blood they'd lost, the amount of pain they were in, they were gonna collapse eventually, and that's essentially what I think it was. They both just happened to connect with each other on the last blow, and they were both out of energy and out of blood to lose anyway, so they both knocked each other out. So I wasn't really disappointed by that. I was like, yeah, Katakuri may have fallen, but it was a draw. It's not like Luffy trounced him or anything, and Luffy did take a lot more damage, but we know Luffy has that character. He takes damage. He's a tank. And Katakuri, even though he can do everything that Luffy can do and better, he really just... I'll come on to the mental aspect of it later. But 12:40 comes, with Big News Morgan stating that if Luffy still manages to escape with all of these crews and all of Big Mom's forces there, it would be a huge scoop and it would be a huge scandal. And Mondor berates him quickly, saying even Goldie Roger wouldn't be able to escape from this situation. And I was like, you're a cocky little shit. So then 12:43 comes, with Beige and his crew basically up shit creek. Big Mom and Prometheus are burning the ship now. They're right behind it, and I think the top of the mast has been caught up in flames. So it looks almost as if Beige is preparing his crew for kind of like a death run, this is their last thing to do before they all die. But surely this won't be the case for the Fire Tank Pirates, and this won't be the end of the Fire Tank Pirates, right? I mean, like, because I've really enjoyed seeing the Fire Tank Pirates, and it would be a shame if they all died here. I think Beige will succeed in just about seeing off Big Mom, and they won't die. They'll just have to fix up their ship a bit and just continue on their way. 12:45 comes, and the Straw Hats are concerned about whether Luffy can actually escape the mirror world, seeing as maybe he didn't process that he needed to retain Brûlé, and whether he actually listened to their plan of meeting at 1 a.m. And I was like, you unfaithful bastards. Y'all should have more faith in Luffy, because he knew that Brûlé was important, but he did lose her, to be fair. But he knew, and that's the thing that willed him on, was his faith to meet his crew, his desire to meet his crew at 1 a.m. on Cacao Island. 12:47 comes, and it's been 10 minutes since Luffy's lost consciousness, and he's now able to regain his haki. That's usually what the drawback to Gear 4th was. So Luffy's conscious again, able to just about move, and he gets out of the pit really he's in, and only for Katakuri to stand and confront him once more. And I was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen now? And really, this part was a bit weird, because well, it wasn't weird, it was more, you got to see Katakuri's inquisitive side, and he was like, the fight was done. Katakuri knew that. He couldn't do much more after that. They were both knackered. So Katakuri asks him a question. He says to Luffy, someday will you come back here to defeat Big Mom? And once Luffy confirms this and says he'll be Pirate King, we get a really chilling line from Katakuri where he says, you're looking pretty far into the future. And that's once Luffy's confirmed that I'm going to become Pirate King and I'm going to take out Big Mom in the future. And Katakuri says that line without a hint, without a single iota of condescension, almost as if he's looking forward to the day in which Luffy comes back and does become Pirate King. And this leads me to another reason for why Katakuri falls in the end, and Luffy continues on his way. Even though the fight was a draw, Luffy just continues on his way because he's got stuff to do. So Katakuri, he has less to fight for than Luffy, and was simply fighting for himself by the end of it to see how far he could go as an individual and as a man. In the end, he has nothing to stand up to Luffy for. I mean, like, well, who's he going to stand up to Luffy for? For his mom, who's crazy as shit and kills his siblings like it's just breakfast every day or some shit. She kills him on the regular, bro. So I'm like, he's not going to stand for his mom. For his family, who put him on a pedestal, and like he was built so high, and they didn't even know how his actual personality or his character. And once they found out who he was and what he looked like truly, once the veil had been pulled from their faces, essentially, they turn on him and cuss him down for being different. And I was like, really? And then finally he's going to stand for himself. Now he's seen Luffy's power, and he's had a hell of a fight, and it ended in a draw. Could he have beaten Luffy? I think so, yeah. Was he curious to see how Luffy could grow? Yeah, he was, definitely. But does it almost seem like he's asking Luffy to come back and kind of free him from the clutches of the Big Mom Pirates? I mean, if Katakuri wanted to leave, he could damn well leave. But it's almost as if he's saying, will you come back and like we can do this again sometime, or like maybe you could defeat Big Mom and I can go somewhere. So it's one of those I don't know aspects, but we know he respects Luffy, and his reason to fight has been lost. And that's essentially why he falls. He doesn't need to continue fighting. He's lost his reason to fight. Luffy, however, still needs to meet his crew at 1 a.m. So the scene ends with Luffy covering Katakuri's jaw with his fedora, a touching sign of respect between the two absolute ballers. And then the chapter ends actually with Peckham's having captured Brûlé in the mirror world and meeting with Luffy, and Luffy instantly sees past his disguise, possibly due to his improved and his upgraded Kenbun Shokuhaki and his aptitude for sensing emotions. We know he's had that ability for a while, especially because that seems to be where his Kenbun Shokuhaki is, where he's naturally gifted in sensing emotions. So 12:50 comes, and the Straw Hat crew are right next to Cacao Island, steering clear to remain unseen by the fleet surrounding Cacao Island. 12:55 comes, and the Big Mom Pirates ready themselves for Luffy's exit from the mirror. And all I'm saying is that's how the chapter ends. Really good chapter, but Peckham's has got to have a plan. If that is the only mirror on Cacao Island, the large mirror in between the Big Mom's forces, Peckham's will most likely go first with Brûlé, allowing Luffy to pop out once he's kind of distracted the large forces guarding the mirror. And I think Luffy will just jump out and peg it. But Luffy is in no fighting condition and really in no running condition. So we'll have to see, but I really enjoyed the chapter. And and view the fight between Katakuri and Luffy as a draw, and it was a really, really solid fight. The other main thing, obviously, for me was, what is Pudding gonna do? Pudding's defo is gonna erase Sanji's memories of her, and then she's gonna go in kamikaze style and just probably like Sombra freaking hack everyone's minds and just erase everyone's memories or some shit. I don't know what she's gonna do. We don't know how powerful she actually is. We assume she's quite powerful, but we don't know, and I don't know what she's gonna do. She could go in, kick some ass, and possibly like sacrifice herself for Luffy and Sanji, allowing them to escape. But that would be a very saddening turn of events, because Sanji would not recognize who she was. Luffy would recognize who she was, but once again, we don't know whether she could like erase his memories on the fly as well. So I don't know how it's gonna go, but that's definitely one of the things to look forward to. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the chapter. Let me know whether you enjoyed the Katakuri versus Luffy fight. Let me know whether you thought it was an unfair turn of events for Katakuri and whether he should have been ended like that. I think it was perfectly fine. I mean, I can understand some people saying that Katakuri kind of went down cheaply, but I think it went down pretty well. So let me know what you guys thought. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys tomorrow when I release my My Hero Academia review. See you then.